Hey everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable the podcast. And it is Monday, July the 7th. I hope everybody had a listen, great 4th of July holiday. It's Prince, When Doves Cry. Listen to it. Very funky, get down with me this morning. Funky. This song was number one 48 years ago today. Does that make you feel old? It makes me feel old. 48 years ago. I remember when this song came out, and I remember when the video came out. Prince was slinking around on the floor. He was in the bathtub, and then he was slinking around on the floor naked. Oh, anyway, this song was, of course, from the great album Purple Rain, and which there was all kinds of singles from it. Purple Rain, Let's Go Crazy, all kinds of yeah. When doves cry, the movie Purple Rain, remember the movie Purple Rain? That all kinds of shit. That. What I remember at Prince, now this is a little bit of our reminiscing, remembering. Prince was this, in case you guys aren't old enough to have lived through Prince, the Prince experience, he was this like really weird guy, but he was so brilliant. He was a genius. He could play like over 90 instruments. 90. I can't play anything. He could play anything. He was a producer, songwriter, singer, entertainer, dancer. He could dance right there with Michael Jackson. You know, they came out like around the same time, and there was like a little rivalry. Well, Prince was sort of like Michael Jackson was sort of like the Beatles. Prince was sort of like the Rolling Stones. You know, like the bad Michael Jackson. You know, Prince, he was just this, he didn't do any interviews really. Uh, he was very secretive. He just, hey, Coco, he just kind of hauled up to himself in his big mansion out there in Minnesota called Paisley Park. His favorite color was purple, so he wore purple a lot. And he had purple all over his house. And he was just this different guy, just a brilliant musician, but sort of a weirdo. But if you want to see a couple really good things about Prince, in case you want to relive the Prince experience, or you're new to Prince, two things I would recommend. He did a really good interview with Larry King. Remember Larry King, the guy with the suspenders, and he'd always like hover over you, like, and what do you think about that? He was a great interviewer. He asked you a lot of good questions, and he really got to the point. And he was like face to face with you on CNN. Anyway, Prince did an interview with Larry King around the late 90s, I guess. You'll be able to find it if you Google it, or if you go to YouTube. My favorite, Zoom, YouTube, whatever. And it's a great interview because you really you learn a little bit about Prince and the fact that he's more than this weirdo guy. He was a smart guy. He was brilliant. Um, and for like what 25 years ago, whatever he like he had a philosophy of I don't believe the past is the past. Tomorrow is a day away. Tomorrow I live for now. Today, the moment, now. This is what I live for. So he was a very interesting guy. And the other thing you want to look at if you want to learn about Prince is that thing still going on? What the hell? All right, all right. Uh, Prince did the halftime at the Super Bowl. This was back in like 2006, 2007. And when Prince was way beyond his epic, his popularity. But I tell you what, he did a great job. And he sang Purple Rain. He did like 3 songs. And to tell you how weird he was, he changed his name legally to a symbol that nobody could pronounce. And he kept it like that for a while. And then I think he went back to Prince again. Oh, the same old Prince. So, uh, yeah, he's just a different guy. And then he did the halftime celebration, and it was great. It was might be like the best halftime show ever in the history of the Super Bowl. He did Purple Rain in the rain, and the stage was all like lit in purple light. And it was halftime in Tampa that year, and it was raining, showers at halftime in Florida. And here it is, Prince singing Purple Rain in the rain. Oh, Frankie, I mean, you can't ask for more than that. Anyway, 48 years ago today, that was the #1 song in America. Now, do you want to feel even older? Guess whose birthday it is today? Ringo Starr. Ringo is 85 freaking years old. Can you believe that? And he's still on tour, and he's still jumping around and hopping around and dancing and doing stuff. And my God, Ringo, what are you taking? What kind of supplements are you taking? He looks great, and he's slim and trim, and he's very active and energetic. Whereas Paul McCartney, I hate to say it because I love Paul McCartney, he kind of looks half dead. I mean, he does, I gotta be honest. And he doesn't sound too good either. I think he lost, there's only so many notes you could sing in life. And I think he'd used them all because he's singing now like, yesterday, oh, my troubles, huh, far away, huh, huh. Anyway, poor Paul. But Ringo, 85 too. God bless him. Huh? Of course, I remember him from the Beatles. Before that, he was in a band called Rory, with my Philadelphia accent, Rory and the Hurricanes. And he was one of the Hurricanes, and as opposed to being a tropical storm. Anyway, he was a hurricane, and then the Beatles kind of recruited him over to their band because he was like the best drummer in Liverpool and around that area. So Pete Best, who was their former drummer, who was probably like the unluckiest guy in the world. Because think about it, Pete Best, if he would have stayed with the Beatles, would have been this famous guy like Ringo. And Pete Best is still alive, by the way. But they gave him the boot, and they recruited Ringo, and the rest is history. And then after the Beatles broke up, Ringo had a lot of solo hits there, like No, 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 I don't smoke it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. A Photograph, It Don't Come Easy, which is probably my favorite Ringo song, which was written by John Lennon. And he's still recording, 85 years old, still. What the hell? But anyway, God bless you, Ringo, and happy birthday to you. And before I go, I just came across it. How could I forget the patron saint of this fine, fine, fine podcast, Bud Bud? There he is. We haven't seen Bud Bud in a long time, and there he is. Bud Bud had a weird hobby. Say, he used to like to sit in a chair in front of his. This cracks me up. In front of a sewing machine, and just sit there like he's pretending he was sewing. Why, I don't know. But look at him. Isn't he? The Budster? And he would sit there for, a good 4 hours. No, I'm just kidding. A couple minutes and just pretend he was sewing. Now, from that, we used to call him the old so-and-so. There he is, the old so-and-so. There you go. But what a cutie, though. We miss him and we love him. Okay, yeah, talk about birthdays. There were a few over the weekend. A long uh, July 4th weekend, which I hope everybody had a good time. And now you're back to work. You're dragging your asses back to work. I know it was a drag, wasn't it? Luckily, I don't have to do that every time. But I did have to go to the hospitals when you get blood work. Yes, those vampires. So it's not like I was sleeping in, you think? No, I was up at the crack of dawn too. So don't be bitching and complaining. All right, so anyway, everybody's back to work. This weekend, birthdays. Sylvester Stallone, 79 years old. Rocky himself. Rocky himself, 79. Can you believe that? Whoa. And he still looks pretty good. He keeps in shape. Stallone. I can just imagine, not that I wish him happy, but Sylvester Stallone being like in a nursing home or something. And he's calling for your nose. Adrian, oh yeah, nurse, I need a, hey, you know what I mean? I need a bedpan. Come on. Something like that. Yeah. So anyway, 79 years old. Happy birthday, Sly. We're friends, so I call him Sly. So anyway, yeah, I give him credit. He wrote the screenplay for Rocky in 3 days. And he said there were like about 25 uh, uh, edits and drafts and stuff until he got to the final product that we saw on the screen. But the basic first draft took him 3 days. That's all it took him. And he had no money. So what happened was he pitched it to a studio because he had connections and they were going to give him $325,000. Now, back in 1975, that was a lot of money back then. Well, it is a lot of money now, that's what God let be. But back in 1975, $325,000 was a lot more, was worth a lot more. No, they back then, that was a lot of money, He refused, even though he was broke. He was like, despite him being red, he was ashamed, this guy. But he stuck to his post because he said, no, this is my shot. If you're going to make my movie, Rocky, I'm going to play the lead. And the studio, Stallone said they had other people involved. Brian and Neil. He was like a hot actor without Brian. And people like that. But Stallone said, no. If I'm going to sell you my script, I have to play the main character, Rocky. Well, they finally gave in, and the rest is history, right? Did a great job. And I can't see anybody else playing him but Rocky. We even have a statue of him for Phillies, which when other teams come into the city, like football teams, like the miserable Minnesota Vikings or the damn Dallas Cowboys, they always desecrate the Rocky statue and put their own jerseys on it. Well, guess what? Every time they do that, the teams lose and the Eagles win. So go at it, boys. Keep at it as long as the Eagles win. That's all I got to say. So anyway, who else's birthday? Huey Lewis of Huey Lewis in the News, 75 years old over the weekend. You know what? I still love Huey Lewis. God bless him. I hope he gets his voice back. Huey Lewis and the News were big back in the 80s. And they were a great band, underrated band. They were hot. They had all kinds of power. I Want a New Drug, Power of Love, all kinds of songs. And they were a really American band, gritty. They were like a bar band, you know. They could do great harmonies. They did a great national anthem, just a cappella. And again, you could Zoom them and look them up, right? And find, oh, they were just a great band. I saw them a few times down in Lake City in the 90s, and they always put on a great show, a lot of fun. And Huey Lewis, just a few years ago, lost his voice. No, 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 no. I take that back. He lost his hearing. That's right. Some sort of really rare ailment. He lost his hearing. And they haven't been able to get it back. So he'd be able to sing. So think about that. Poor guy. His livelihood was music. That's what he did the best. And to lose that was really a shame, really. And we lose the enjoyment of his singing and his band, the News. Now, think about all these years, it's about 10 years now, that he hasn't been able to perform, where we could have had new music or whatever, right? But we do have the old music from Huey Lewis and the News to enjoy. And I do. I still love them. I think they're an underrated band. And you know, they're an American band because they do doo-wop. They did great harmonies, the blues. They did, I mean, really an American band. Really. So anyway, happy birthday. A lot of people had birthdays, you know, since the last time I was. A lot of people. Anyway, so oh yeah, well, I think I talked about this one other time, but it is something. Uh, when I was growing up in the 60s, there were no fast food restaurants like there are now. I mean, now you can just go into town, whatever town, you see the McDonald's on one side, Burger King on the other, and Arby's over there, and kinds of stuff, right? But when I was growing up, they had no fast food restaurant. I guess maybe we were healthy back then, but back then we were all smoking. Not me, but everybody else was smoking. So that kind of, you know, counterbalanced the health thing, you know. Even though we didn't have fast food restaurants, people smoked like chimneys back then. So anyway, uh, but I remember maybe like the first fast food restaurant that came to my small town. Well, first of all, there was a fast food place called Gino's. Do you remember Gino's? An old football player, Gino Marchetti. He retired. He used to play for the Baltimore Colts. He retired and he opened up this chain called Gino's. And it was a chicken place. It was sort of like an early KFC. And they had chicken, they had burgers. It was a great place. Well, that was like the first fast food joint that came into my little town of Phoenix. But the second joint that I remember was a place called Roy Rogers. And it was based on, I don't know if you remember or not, Roy Rogers was the singing cowboy. Gene Autry was the quote unquote singing cowboy, but Roy Rogers did it too. Roy Rogers was this cowboy back in the 30s and 40s. He would do short things that you would see when you went to the movies, along with your feature film. You'd have westerns there too. And Roy Rogers would be riding his horse Trigger, and his wife would be Dale Evans, and they'd be there. And Roy Rogers' dog, by the way, was named Bullet. Bullet. So if you want to have a bar bet and you go to a bar, you say, I'll bet you, buy me this beer. If you could name Roy Rogers' dog's name, I'll buy you a beer. You're going to win because the guy next to you is not going to know that Roy Rogers' dog was named Bullet. But you know it now because I told you. Anyway, so Roy Rogers, after he retired, he had a lot of money. Who knew that you could make a lot of money being a cowboy? I didn't know. So he went into the fast food business. And he had, Roy Rogers, all kind of stuff. Chicken, you know, the usual burgers, the fries, milkshakes. And again, This was back in the day when even McDonald's was just kind of start back too. So the point of all this is that after Roy Rogers came into being in late 60s, 68, 69, was a hot place for a while. And then around 1990, Roy Rogers sold the company to Hardee's. Remember Hardee's? That was a big place too, fast food restaurant. And so Roy Rogers no longer existed, but now it's coming back with a vengeance. In fact, I heard the local one to us is Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is right over the bridge from Philadelphia. And they say people want to go to Roy Rogers so bad, they were camping out overnight. In the summer, in the heat, and the rain, and all kinds of stuff. The mosquitoes. And people have lawn chairs in front of the Roy Rogers restaurant waiting for the friggin' doors to open in 12 hours. I mean, I don't think I want to get into Roy Rogers that bad. I mean, come on, get a life. Anyway, so that's what happened. And they are so popular now that Roy Rogers are springing up around the country again. So you might find a Roy Rogers coming to your neighborhood soon. But that was a part of the late 60s, 70s when I was growing up. When things fade away and they come back again. It's the way life is, right? You got new people coming into your life, old people leaving, right? And that's life. That is life, my friends. It's like a play. You got actors coming on the stage, actors leaving. It's just, and God is the director. Anyway, hey, how about those Phillies, huh? What a weekend. They took 2 out of 3 from the Reds, 2 out of 3 from the Padres. I was down there last week to see the Padres. And good yesterday. What a game, huh? What a freaking game. Zach Wheeler has to be the best pitcher in baseball. There is a one-hitter at the Reds. And the Reds aren't chopped liver. The Reds have a pretty good team, pretty good hitting team. One hitter, the only hit was a home run by that freaking pain in the ass, Austin Hayes, who used to play for the Phillies last year. Now he's on the Reds. He stunk with the Phillies because apparently he had a kidney infection, which I kind of know about. But now he's healthy and he's doing pretty good for Cincinnati. Anyway, he got the only hit for the Reds. In fact, he was the only guy on base. Zach Wheeler had 0 walks, no hit batsman. If it wasn't for a freaking pain in the ass Austin Hayes, Zach Wheeler would have had a perfect game story. Perfect game. You know how rare that is? I think they've only had like 24 pitchers in the history of baseball have a perfect game. And Zach Wheeler came this close to having. We're lucky to have him. I tell you, that was a great signing by the Phillies when they signed him. And he's saying he's going to retire in 2 years, but his contract is up. I don't know. I hope not. But until then, he is really a great pitcher. And he's going to be on the All-Star team. What the hell's going on with this All-Star team? Here's my chance to bitch a little bit. The Phillies are in first place in the division by 2 games. Their record is something like 53-37. Okay. And they're not lighting the world on fire, but they're in first place. Only 2 All-Stars made the team. Zach Wheeler and Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber has the 27 minutes. Okay, what about Trey Turner, who leads the league in hits? What about Christopher Sanchez, who is 7-2? What about Ranger, who's having a great season? Huh? No, they don't put these guys on, but the stinking rotten Colorado Rockies, who stink, who have only won 21 games the whole season, and who threatened to break the record of the Chicago White Sox for most losses in a baseball season. They have one all-star because every team has to have one all-star. Okay. And the Phillies would have two, yet they're in first place. My, oh my. Wait until I'm commissioner of baseball. Heads will roll. I don't see how that's fair. I just don't. Maybe I'm over. Maybe I'm biased, but how can that be fair? Anyway, Phillies made the long plane trip across the country to San Francisco overnight. You would think with all that momentum from the Wheeler game that they're going to light the world on fire out on the West Coast. They play 3 in San Francisco, and then they go to San Diego and play 3, and then the All-Star game comes. Well, here's the deal. The Phillies never, ever play well in San Francisco. I remember even back in the day when they played Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and Juan Marichal and those guys at Candlestick Park, windy Candlestick Park. The Phillies never played well there. And they don't play well today in this ballpark that the Giants play in. They never do. And no Zach Wheeler. Christopher Sanchez goes tonight, but tomorrow you got freaking Taiwan Walker starting the game. This guy keeps coming back and back and back. He's like a bad penny. He keeps coming back. You get rid of him and then he comes back. He said, okay, we're going to exile Taiwan freaking Walker to the bullpen where we'll never see him again. All of a sudden, about a month later, a guy gets hurt or whatever happens, and you got to stick Taiwan Walker back in the rotation. Well, the same thing happened. Mick Abel, who I thought was going to be a stud, all of a sudden just starts pitching badly. So they farmed his ass back to Lehigh Valley, and he's back down. And guess what? Guess who gets the call to come back into the rotation again? You got Taiwan freaking. Well, he pitches Tuesday night, and then Jose Luzardo, who's really inconsistent on and off, he pitches Wednesday. So here's the deal. Phillies went cross country overnight. Let it take them a day or so to get used to the time change. Okay? And who knows what the weather is like out in San Francisco. It could be chilly, because their good weather actually comes like in our September, October. That's when they have the weather. So right now it could be a little chilly out there, and who knows what it's like. I'm thinking it's going to take the boys a day or so to get used to the West Coast. So, not that I want it to happen, but I think the Phillies probably lose 2 out of 3 in San Francisco, but then they go to San Diego and they win at least 2 out of 3 because they always play well in San Diego. Why? I don't know, but they do. And this weekend, the Phillies can line up their best pitchers. They can have Ranger going on Friday, Wheeler going Saturday, and Sanchez coming back on Sunday before the All-Star break. So that's the game plan. Phillies lose 2 out of 3 in San Francisco. They come back and win 2 out of 3 in San Diego. You heard it here first. From Daddy. Daddy knows what he's talking about. I hope so. Anyway, what else is going on? Well, what's happening. What the hell? What's the Taco, as I call him, is going to have a wrestling match on the 4th of July next year? Oh my God. There's no, what I think of the 250th anniversary of a great country Yeah, I was alive for the bicentennial. That's how freaking old I am. And I can tell you things about the bicentennial. We had, the wagon trains rolling the town, which was nice. And Gerald Ford was the president. And uh, he spoke to over 1 million people in Valley Forge Park, which is only like 5 minutes away from me. And the tall ships sailed into the New York harbor, and they had fireworks over the Statue of Liberty. And it was the bicentennial was a big deal, was a big thing. Now, next year, for the 250th anniversary of the country, I think they call it the Sasquatch Centennial or whatever. We're going to have a wrestling, kind of a hybrid wrestling boxing match on the lawn in front of the White House. 25,000 people all crammed into the lawn to watch the fights. That's how we're going to celebrate the 250. Anyway, so I'm thinking, I don't know these guys because I don't follow the UCL or UCF or whatever. I go back to the old days. If you want to bring in boxers, bring them in. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard was still alive, right? Muhammad Ali is it. God bless him. Joe Frazier is it. George Foreman just died not long ago. I mean, what the hell? And the wrestlers, what are you going to bring in? Some of these old guys wheeling Hulk Hogan in a wheelchair, you know? Oh, what are you going to do with Hulkamania? What's wrong with you? Wheel him in. Bruno Sammartino, is he still living? Wheel him. What about the Iron Sheik? Remember the Iron Sheik? I mean, the Iron Sheik is on an iron lung. Oh, Jesus. What the hell? The guy with the karate chip, Toro Tanaka, Sergeant Sloan, all those old wrestlers. Remember those guys? My favorite of all time, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Oh yeah, the Macho Man. Oh, he's dead. But dig him up, and bring it. Ridiculous, ridiculous. I thought baseball was America's past. Why not turn the White House lawn into a baseball diamond? And you know how they have like out in Iowa, the Field of Dreams, and they play a game out there. Have two major league teams play a game on the White House lawn, right? And make up your own rules. That way, if somebody hits the ball and it hits the White House, that's an automatic. Right there. And place that's America's pastime. Not a freaking wrestling boxing match. What the heck? So anyway, boy, do we have a lot to look forward to next summer, huh? Jesus. Anyway, so that's going on. Duh. And before I leave, I gotta say my thoughts and prayers to those people down in Texas, those kids washed with terrible floods, huh? Terrible. And then they had stuff going on in North Carolina. To me, Mother Nature, God, TikTok is saying, I don't like what's going on in the world, and then did you hear about this asteroid? Oh my God, let me tell you about this before I leave. There's some kind of a freaking asteroid that the scientists do not know what it is. It came into our solar system, streaking in, and nobody knows, and all they know is it's headed for Mars. Now, as long as it's not headed for the Earth, that's okay. It can hit Mars, I don't care what it does. It's headed for Mars. Now, I'm thinking, is this not an asteroid? Is it like a spaceship that they can't identify that's heading to Mars? Really? I mean, we've gotten it all. Think about it. We had the pandemic, we've had fires and floods, we've had locusts, we cicadas. You say cicada, I say cicada. And we've had all kinds of natural disasters. And now, are we going to get hit by an asteroid? Really? But no, really, they don't know what it is. It's streaky toward Mars. And then there's another asteroid that they have named Psyche 16 or something like that. Anyway, they say this asteroid is loaded with gold. I don't know how they've been able to tell that, but so, they're smarter than me. They've been able to find out that this baby is loaded with gold. So much gold that it's like a quintillion, that enough gold that every single person on Earth, if you divided up that asteroid, every single person on Earth would be a billionaire. I kid you not. I would be a billionaire. You would be a billionaire. My friends down Penn who are listening and watching, Callie, Dr. Couch, they would be billionaires. People out there watching me in Ireland, Australia, wherever you are, around the Philadelphia area, California. I see you out there. You would be billionaires. Coco would be a billionaire. Everybody would be a freaking billionaire. Is that amazing? So I think they want to, I guess so. They want to harness or try to stop this asteroid. What the hell are they going to do? How are they going to slow it down or stop it? Like put a net at the end of the solar system, like a big net to catch it or something. But they want to get that gold somehow. I don't know. I would invest in it. I mean, what the hell, right? But anyway. So, last question. Did everybody eat well over the weekend? I had hot dogs too. We had hot dogs. It's the big thing is hot dogs in Hebrew. No matter what, you put steaks on the grill, you have ribs, you have corn on the cob, you have your seafood, you have your side orders, you have your watermelon, you have your cantaloupe, you have your ice cream. Okay. But the thing, the American thing, hot dogs in hamburgers. They had a guy on Good Morning America. I was watching Saturday. He runs this grocery store up in Connecticut. And they were asking him, how's business, blah, 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 blah. And he said, good. And he said, what is the most popular food on the 4th of July? What do you see people coming in and get on the 4th of July? Frozen pizza? What the hell? Immediately, he didn't hesitate. Immediately, he answered, hamburgers. Even more so than hot dog, hamburgers. That is the most popular food because you can have a burger, you can have a cheeseburger if you want. You can do anything with it, right? So there you go. It's nice to know some things in life remain consistent. Huh? All right. Well, anyway, I've had enough. That's it. I'm going to go take a nap. No, it was a pleasure being back with you guys again. And I'll be back again someday. And we'll shoot the you know what again together. And of course, if something happens in the news, I'll be back and we'll talk about that too. Okay. So go Phillies tonight, even though I don't think it's going to be good in San Francisco. That's just me, but go Phillies anyway. And everybody have a great week. And now that you're back to work, enjoy it. Hey, I used to do the same thing myself for how many, over 30 freaking years. I hated it. I mean, I hate to rub it in, but I hated it. You get back from a long vacation and a nice holiday where you had a lot of fun with the family. Maybe you were down the shore and, you just don't want to go back, but you're dragging yourself. Go back and you're thinking, why am I doing this? other than you need money to live. But, but yeah, it really does hurt. But it is what it is, as they say, right? That's what they say. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching me. Thanks for listening to me. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace and love. This goes out to Ringo because his sign off is always peace and love. He's been saying that for years and years and years. Happy birthday, Ringo. Peace and love to you. And many, many, many more years. Put on some Ringo today and enjoy. Take care. Bye.